Okay, we are live once again. We never stop going live because there is always another box to open. It never ends, which is good. We call that job security. So that is why I sit in my basement every day and do what I do. And today, we are looking at a new projector. And I have limited my projector reviews only to things that accurately advertise what the lumens are. So this is from BenQ. This is a portable projector. And you know it's portable because it's got a strap on it, so you can pick it up. And the deal with this one is that they are accurately portraying its nits, its lumens, not nits, the lumens. And actually, they're very accurate on a couple of things that are negatives, but they spell it out, which I think is very good. So 300 ANSI lumens, not bright. It's going to be about what we saw out of the Anchor one, the Nebula. But that's okay because they're being honest about it. The other thing they're being honest about is that you have to install Netflix sideloaded, and it's the tablet version of Netflix. So you're probably going to want to pair this with a Roku if you are looking to do Netflix. But they spell that out too, so I'm okay with it. This is the thing, you can have negatives in life and be honest about it. Like, hey, this is the negative. Because you can oversell things, and then all of a sudden people get this stuff and they get disappointed, right? So why not put the negatives out there and it's all good. I've been thinking a lot about this today because I've been following, I'm so excited finally, they got some footage up from the Inspiration 4 mission, but it took them a day and a half. And I think what happened is that this has been consuming me in a way that it should not be, but I'm emotionally invested in this Inspiration 4 story because I love the people that are going up. I really, I just think it's awesome. But what happened was they went up, and then right after they got there, they turned off the feed and nobody knew what happened to them. And so they were up there for about a day. There was tweets like they're okay, everything's fine, but we didn't see them up until just a little while ago. They finally posted some video. And I guess they have been, when you go up into space, it's 50-50 as to whether or not you're going to be sick the whole time. And a lot of people get sick, even like professional, pilot people, astronauts, like hardcore aviators. So they've been having some trouble adapting over that first day, but nobody said anything. So everyone's like, is it Netflix that's restricting the content from the space mission? Is it this? Is it that? They could have just come out and said, hey, they're a little space sick. Give them a day. Everyone would have thought it'd be okay. So, any event, we'll talk more about that on Monday, I think. So, this is a projector. First of all, I want to say hello to some more people. So, Michael Kidd is here from Las Vegas, the first chatter today. William Wilkinson is here. Ed Brewer is here. Michael says that BenQ is a good brand. They make good monitors. They're honest in their marketing, which I think is good. Norman Tucker is here. Paolo correctly says that they don't want to spend the money for the AirPlay stuff, so use HDMI. So I think that's probably the path. I would say get one of those little Roku boxes and you'll be in good shape. And Patrick Chang is here as well. Now the selling point of this is its portability. We'll unbox it now. The selling point of this is the portability. And by the way, this came in free of charge from BenQ, but they are not reviewing or approving what you're about to see because we're doing it live. I'm going to have a full review of this later on. So if you're tuning in and you're saying, why is this an hour and something long? It's because we're just taking it out of the box and experimenting with it today. And then I will concisely give you a review of about 15 minutes or so when we get everything wrapped up here. Oh, it's got a carrying case. How about that? See, this is nice. Oh my goodness, it's heavy. All right. Oh, it's got a dongle. This is interesting. All right, so here is the projector. There is a dongle in here So it looks like the Android, well, we'll see when we plug it all in. This is a media streaming device that is external from the unit itself. And this is just a piece of cardboard. So let's see. I got to say hello to some more friends here. Dom is here from London. Hello, Dom. Crispy is wondering, what are we looking at? Crispy says, the Xiaomi Horizon. Yes, there's all sorts of these projectors out there. And none of them, so BenQ and Anker and the brands, the larger brands, are better at marketing their products in the sense that they're telling you the truth. Like you'll see these projectors. I did a video on this because it annoyed me so much. We did a video about this Gym Tab projector, which was saying it was like, 5,000 lumens. And I'm like, 5,000 lumens? I'm in. So I bought one. And you can see what happened in the video. And then they tried to pay me off to remove the review from Amazon. I kid you not. So that was not cool from the Gym Tab projector. So yeah, we'll have to see how this goes. So Francis, yes, we are looking at the BenQ GV30 today. And I'm already impressed with the packaging. It's very nice. You get a nice carrying case here. And then you've got the projector itself. So let's see what we got in here. And Ed says the packaging looks good. So it does look good. And Paolo says that I think final luminosity, yeah, so what happens is when you see these projectors saying that they're like 9,000 lumens, what they're doing is they're holding the light, and I tested this to myself to verify. They're holding the light meter up to the bulb itself, and that's not how you're supposed to measure lumens. Lumens, for the ANSI standard, has to be set back a certain length, and then they measure different points on the projection itself. So it's got a little spudger in here. I don't know why they included that. That's going to be interesting to see what that's for. And then we've got our setup guide here. Oh, look at this. So this is intriguing. So apparently, you have to install the dongle inside of the projector. So let's get the projector part out. This might prove to be more complicated. And this might be what the spudger is for. So it's got like a little stand here, which you need, of course, otherwise it just rolls around. Oh, that's cool. So it's got, okay, so this is the projector itself. And I'll give you my other shot here. Let me take off the lower third. So CJ is wondering about the lumens on Amazon. It is 300 lumens. So it's gonna come in like those little Anker soda can projectors. It's gonna be in that ballpark for brightness. So we're gonna test it. I got my camera set up over there. So this is what it looks like. The projector, of course, is in the front. And then on the bottom, you've got a tripod mount. So you can mount it to a tripod. Or it looks like you can, oh, it's like magnetic. Look at that. So it's got a this is actually, I have to tell you, this is pretty well built. So this is like a magnetic attaching thing. Look at this. It rotates on it. So you can get it. So we'll have to see how the keystoning works. And we also have to peel off that. So, from a hardware standpoint, I'm kind of digging it. I like it. But let's see. The proof is in the pudding. How does it perform, right? So that's what we have to look at next. Now, the power supply is not integrated. So you have an external power supply. And we've got our US power cable there. So I'm going to set this aside. Now, what it says you have to do is install, so where is the ports on this? So we do have an external HDMI on the outside here. It's got a USB-C port, and that's labeled DP, so that's a DisplayPort port. So theoretically, you could plug your computer into that. CJ says, isn't that quite low? So here's the thing about the lumens. Yes, 300 is low. 300 means that in a room that's lit, like this is a studio lighting scenario I'm in right now, but like you're gonna have to turn the lights off and you're gonna probably wanna draw the blinds. You need a pretty dark environment to get the most out of this. But what you'll see is that if you're spending less than, I don't know, like $800 for a projector, especially with those no-name brands, like you're going to see a lot of false advertising about the lumen rating. So for example, we looked at one that said it had 5,000 lumens, when in fact it didn't. It was actually less or about the same as the 300 lumen one we were looking at. But yeah, you're not going to expect miracles with this. But again, I'm going to compare this one in context with its competitors, which is the Anchor, because this is designed as a portable projector. Let me zoom in on this a little bit here. So it is not like an office kind of projector. And you're going to want to have the stand, otherwise it rolls around here. So if we put it on the stand, it will. And it's kind of neat. It rotates on this, but it's magnetic, so it sticks to it. Isn't that cool? So there's some neat design elements on this. And then the other thing they're talking about is the speakers. So it's got stereo 2.1. So I guess it's got a center channel and 2 left and rights. So not surround, but it's superior. They say it's superior audio. It says it right there. Okay, so now we got to bust into this thing. So let's go back to the overhead, and we have to crack open the case, which is why they give you a spudger here. So there is some assembly required. Oh, I see. You got to so this is why you get the spudger. This is actually in the instructions that you have to take it apart. So you got to put the spudger in here and then move it all the way around. I kid you not. This is, I think this has a battery on it. Hey, somebody do me a favor and click on the Amazon link and check out the description. I'm pretty sure it has a battery on board. And you know what I'm going to do here real quick is I'm going to record some B-roll of this. By the way, here's the remote control also. It's kind of like your standard Android remote. Pretty nice. Yeah, I got to say, I'm digging the design. I really am. Because it's flexible. Then you can put it on a tripod also if you wanted to just mount it on something else. All right, let me just set a recording here. I'll just say BenQ projector. So I just want to record some B-roll of me opening it up. So then I don't have to do it again. And this is in the instructions that you have to take it apart. But there is a plug. I think it might have a built-in battery, but if somebody can check on the Amazon listing, that would be great. So what we're doing right now is we are opening up the case so that we can get into the inside to install the Android TV box in there. So it doesn't actually have it built in, which I guess leaves it open for possibilities in the future. It's a lot like taking apart one of our laptops, isn't it? Same process. Okay, and so now we have to go in here and install the HDMI dongle. So let's get this out of the box here real quick. Michael Kidd says, no mention of battery. And there was another question on Amazon from CJ. Can you hook up other speakers? And the answer is yes. There is a headphone jack on here. And there's also a USB-C port. So I think you should be able to do that. And so this is the streaming box, essentially. It's an Android TV on a stick. But it does not support Netflix natively. You have to install some other thing to do it. All right, so here is the HDMI stick. So this is not a very elegant way to go about it. having a separate device, but that's how they chose to do it. And I'm guessing, to some degree, it's not elegant, but it gives them flexibility in that they're not tied. They can sell this projector as is for a long time, and then they can update or change out the hardware over time. So now that's installed. That's it. So then we put the cover back on, and we can continue our journey into discovering what this projector is all about. All right. We are assembled. Okay. There's some controls on the top. You got your nice little leather handle here. Oops. Well, I must say, it looks pretty cool. I like the industrial design. Very unique. All right. A couple other notes here. Michael Kidd says that the projector supports, as we saw on there, supports video input over USB-C and HDMI. So you could just plug your, I wonder if it'll power the laptop. We'll have to try that out with my MacBook in a little bit. Roger P. wants to know, does this projector do 4K? No, this is only 720p. That is it. I'm just going to see if it comes on with a battery. Yeah, it does have a battery, so it's blinking. There is a battery on board. But I'm guessing the battery is dead. Nope, it's coming up. And I'm assuming that you probably get about 2 hours of battery life. But for the most part, these portable projectors are running at 720p. All right, so I think what we need to do now is we should get this thing hooked up on the other side of the room. And I've got to just adjust my white balance on the camera over there, which I need to do in a second here. And we'll take a look at that. Now, here's where it falls off the track. And I'm grateful for this question from the non-rev guy. It is an Android TV, but it is blocked. So Netflix has to be installed side-loaded on this thing. So unfortunately, you do not get Netflix natively. And then the BenQ app manager, which is being mentioned by Matthew in the Amazon chat, the BenQ app manager does work. However, you get the tablet version of Netflix, not the Android TV version. So you have to jump out of the interface. And this is the exact same issue that we saw on some of the other Android-based projectors we have looked at, that you get this weird side-loaded thing versus the actual. The power supply, for those of you interested, is a 65-watt power supply, and it is a barrel connector. And that connects to the side here. So it's next to the headphone jack is where that connects. So what I am going to do real quick is get this installed on the other side of the room. And I think what I'll do is I'll just put it down on a desk. And it's a little messy over there, so pardon me as I get things set up. I'm going to use my PTZ camera. I've got a cool one. And we're just going to set it up over here on the table. And I'm going to pull up that shot just so you can, it's a bit of a mess on that table over there, but it should be good enough. And what I'm going to do, and I got my Nintendo Switch over there also. And what I'm going to do before we set it up is get my white balance adjusted so we can get everything looking nice. This does support Bluetooth also, so you have that as an option. And the Netflix that it's running is the tablet one, and my understanding is that it's going to be 720p tops on that. And we'll have to dig around a little bit and see what we get out of it. But there's definitely a battery on it. And Dante says there's a few manufacturers that use the same design with the stick that you install. So there's basically two HDMI ports on it. And Dante also makes a good point. I wish I spent real money on a projector now. I like having it in the bedroom so much that I wouldn't mind splashing $1,000. Yeah, so when you spend more, and I did a whole video on projectors. You should all, if you're interested in projectors, you should watch it because it was kind of eye-opening to me doing that video because I hadn't really looked at projectors in a while. And when we looked at that Gym Tab one, which supposedly had, you know, all of that crazy brightness, which it didn't have. You know, I took out the projector I bought 10 years ago, and that one was like a lot brighter, and that one was also a lot more expensive. So you know, you just gotta kind of take the good with the bad there. Let me just shut this off real quick. And I'm gonna find the remote, because I put the remote down somewhere, and now it's missing. But we will find it. Yeah, and projectors are expensive. This is the thing, is that projectors, you can buy cheap ones, and of course you get what you pay for. So, you know, back when I got my first projector, you know, you couldn't, I think it was Dell, I bought a Dell projector years and years and years ago. This is probably back in, a remote is right behind the projector, thank you. So, modern day family man, I appreciate you keeping track of where everything is on my messy desk. Thank you for telling me that. I was going nuts. I put things down and I forget where I put them. And when I'm doing a live stream, it's usually worse than normal because I'm distracted by the chat, by the thing I'm working on, you know, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, projectors are not cheap. And good ones are not cheap. And what I found with these things is that the name brands are far better than the cheap stuff. And that's usually the case on many things, but you know, it's hard to say. Now, I'm getting a question here from Crispy about the Xiaomi Horizon Pro 4K. I haven't tested that one. I will say that any brand that you've never heard from before it's not going to be great. And I've looked at a bunch of these over the years, and I have not been pleased generally. So, so number of guy wants to know, is there any bright ones? You know, I would look at like Epson. So here's the thing. If you look at BenQ, BenQ's got some nice ones, by the way. You look at BenQ, Epson, a few other brands. The name brands are the ones to look for because they're honest in their brightness assessments. So, you know, I can't remember what my other one had. I think my other one was like 1,000 lumens. But look for those because you know, I would say like Epson and BenQ probably have the most affordable ones. And those are the ones to look for. So Eric has a Epson one. And like I said, if you're looking at a name brand, generally the brightness holds up. It's the non-name brands that don't, because they just BS the quality of the display or the brightness. All right, bear with me. I just got to find my camera here because I need to connect to it and adjust the white balance. So give me 1 second to fix the camera, and then we'll get the thing set up. I use these NDI PTZ cameras. Today we're using a bird. You know, I'm going to put it in the thing here. We're using a Bird Dog P100 camera. Let me add it to the product carousel. So Epson, BenQ, who was the other one that I liked? You know, CJ, I would suggest you check out, I did a video, it's probably going to be on my YouTube channel, because I did a whole video about projectors, and I think that would be a really helpful one for you to learn more, because I learned a lot just making the video. Yeah, so if you go on YouTube and search for avoid cheap projectors like the Gym Tab, that'll give you I think a good overview of the current market for projectors. because I think that'll help. So in that video, I think I was talking about, let me see here. For your weekly wrap-up. Yeah, so I covered all the different technologies. And there was some good discussion in the chat room about these as well, or in the comment thread about it. So, you know, I would look at that. I have direct experience. So Acer used to make projectors. So my projector that I use frequently, that I do my presentations with, that one's an Acer. I don't think they make projectors anymore, but I have an Acer that I've been very happy with for many years. Before that, I had a Dell projector. But I've had really good luck with the Epsons. The BenQs have been good. I reviewed a couple of BenQs in the past. And they have like the least expensive 4K models, the BenQs. But yeah, and if you're willing to spend over $1,000, there's some good ones out there. The new ones that are really neat, I haven't tried one, but they have these laser projectors that are short throw. So you don't have to put them very far from the wall, and they're super bright. And they use a laser to project the image up on the screen. They're really cool. So there's a lot of neat stuff out there. All right. So we need to just adjust my white balance here real quick. But this is exactly what everyone needs to be aware. The inexpensive projector space, this is exactly the point right now, is that it's just, there's so much garbage out there. So look for the name brands, and BenQ is one of them. And actually, I think BenQ, if you're looking for like not a budget, but a lower cost home theater projector, you know, there's compromises, but they make some nice ones that do 4K. We reviewed one a couple of years ago. All right, so let me go and adjust my camera real quick. Let's go back to auto. Might make it, there it goes, that looks better. Okay, so we're going to set this thing up. And what I'm curious about when I set it up is, and I'll adjust the camera angle here in a second. I'm most curious about, hey, by the way, check this out. So I'm picking this thing up. Look at that. That stand is magnetic. It stays on there. Isn't that cool? So Roger P. wants to know, what's better, a TV or a projector? I am a TV person because I love OLEDs. Because to get like a nice projector TV, you're going to spend a lot of money to get a projector that looks as good as a TV. That's as bright as a TV and has all the clarity of the image quality. So we're going to plug in, and we're just going to project against my wall right now. I have a white wall. And I'm going to plug it in just to get that battery charged up on it. I'm going to turn it on, and what I'll do, I think it's booting up. I got a red light right now. Let's see what happens. Why do I have a red light? That must mean it's charging, so let's hold down the button. There it goes. Okay, so it's warming up. And I'm going to kill the lights over here. So my lights are going to look a little different to you. All right, so now it is booted up. It's actually got a pretty nice looking image, to be honest. And I'm just going to adjust my camera so you can see it better. Okay, so we are operating. And you're going to see some flickering, and that's normal because I'm pretty sure this is going to be a DLP projector, so you're going to see a little bit of DLP stuff. And what I'm going to do is get this zoomed in to the point where it looks close to what I see with my eyes. Yeah, it looks pretty close. And I think we're going to see a little flickering. And just in the chat room, I'm going to move that monitor out of the way too so we don't get that shadow on the wall. And I should be able to control it from over here. Let's see. Yeah, so the remote control goes across the room, which is great. And it's going to do the vertical keystone. All right, so let me go run over there and move that monitor out of the way. And I will monitor the chat when I sit back down after I get everything straightened out. And Paolo says it is a DLP projector. So yeah, we're going to see, and you know, we saw this before with my other projector that I reviewed. So it's not uncommon to get a little flickering because it's a DLP. Because it's hard to get things to sync up with the camera. And the other thing I need to do here is get my camera kind of on center with the projector. And move it back a little bit. Yeah, so, and just to give you an idea of the throw here, it's not bad. I think I'll have to measure it later, but it's pretty good. And then I can move it and see how it just corrected itself. So that auto keystoning seems to be working pretty good there. And it's got an autofocus also. And I think I'm going to move it just a little more in line with the camera. Just make sure I'm kind of dead center here. Yeah, we're pretty close now. Okay. And now it's blurry, but I think the blurriness is my camera. Hang on a second. Let's get the, I'm going to adjust the focus on the camera manually. So that is not the projector, that is the camera. So we're going to get the camera to focus a little better here. There we go. Hang on, why is it not listening to my focus commands now? Hang on a second. Give me 1 second, everybody. We just got to refocus the camera. And I think my camera, it stopped responding to, there it goes, okay. My camera, I think, rebooted. Because that 1080p 60 overlay was from the camera, not from, focused in here. It's having a hard time holding on to the focus. But that again, I think it's the DLP issue. Yeah, and the flickering, you know what I might do is I may put up an image just so that you all know. The flickering is due to the DLP and its interaction with the camera. It has a Bluetooth speaker mode. So you can use it as a Bluetooth speaker. And now it's searching for an Android TV signal. And we're going to hold down the button here to pair it up. And it just found my remote. So the remote must be IR to the projector. And then it is Bluetooth to the Android TV component. And I just have to do a little setup here. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to set up an alternate camera position. So let me create an input here. And then I can set up another camera position where we can kind of zoom out a little bit. So you can kind of see it projecting here. And I can do some other. So what's neat when I do this, watch this, I can go, because we've got the PTZ camera. Isn't that cool? So let me just get it set up here on my local Wi-Fi network. And the good news is my remote works from this far away, but I have to like look on the screen. I probably should have hooked my keyboard up. So give me 1 second here to get my Wi-Fi password installed here. But the good news is it works like clear across the room here. So if you are at a farther distance from, from the unit, it seems to work pretty well. And let's give it a second here. So right now it is going through the whole setup routine. And I can sign into my Google account, so let's do that real quick. Oh, I got to go I got to sign in the hard way. Really? All right. I should have probably opted for the Android phone option, but my Android phone is upstairs. So bear with me, folks. I need to, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to plug in my keyboard. But it's USB-C. How do we, I don't have the adapter. Ugh. See, this is the problem. I love USB-C, but if you misplace your adapter, you're, here it is. So I'm going to get my keyboard out. And I've got this handy-dandy keyboard. Now this would work over Bluetooth, but because we're still configuring this, I need to use a keyboard with a dongle. And of course my keyboard dongle is also missing. Must be plugged into the computer I was testing last time. Yep, there it is. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to plug in my keyboard dongle into the USB port. And let's see if that works. And I'll turn this on. It may not actually. USB-C switching. Oh yeah, that's only video, huh? Interesting. So that's not like a, yeah, so that's not a pass-through thing. So there's that. So it looks like I got to go Bluetooth on this, which means that in the interim, we're going to have to type our password in the hard way. So yeah, so what happened was when I plugged that in, here, I'll show you what's on the screen now. When I plugged that in, it thought I was connecting a memory device. So I've got to go and do it the hard way here. So I've got to go back to, now by the way, on the remote, what's interesting is that although it doesn't support Netflix, there is a button for Prime Video. And so let's go back to the screen here. And I can select Android TV. And so we'll go ahead and do that real quick. So bear with me here, folks. I'm just going to type in my name and password. And then I got to do my two-factor authentication and all that good stuff. So this is going to take a minute here. But that's why we do these live streams. I like to see what it's like to set it up. But I think this process would be quicker if you had an Android phone. And I do have one, but it's just not handy at the moment. And I'm just going to go over here. So talk amongst yourselves for a second because I can't see this far. So we're just going to type in some of the other stuff I need to type in here. Oops. Nope, nope, nope. Now it's interesting, it also just discovered my network TV tuners. So this feels like a pretty legit version of Android TV that I'm using here. And then I just need to get my phone out and do the two-factor. And I'll get to some questions here in a minute. Yeah, and I don't know, just to this point, to Upload's point here, which is a good point to raise. And it's not just this one. It's like the Anchor one also doesn't support that either. So, and CJ says, don't mind us. I can share my password with all of you. Yeah, I'd be happy to do so. All right, so here is the terms of service. And I will just go in and accept that real quick. Location, what the heck? I'll just give you everything. Help improve Android. And then it also supports, here, let's pull this back up here so you can see it. It's got the Google Assistant built in. And I'm guessing, yeah, we're going to call this QSO1 so I know exactly what the heck it is. And then it's got a bunch of apps that it wants to install. These are not, so we're going to install Plex, HD Home Run, I'll do MAME off. I'll do MAME a different way. So we're going to turn MAME off. RetroArch we'll do later. Maybe we'll do RetroArch. Yeah, I'll put some of those things in here. We're not going to do Kodi. So YouTube is built in already because that comes from Google. And it's going to give me Disney Plus, YouTube TV, Stars Play. It's got Arabic on there and an apps manager. So I'm going to install the apps manager. I don't subscribe to YouTube TV, but I will leave Disney Plus on there. Okay, so let's do continue. So these recommended apps are what I usually use on my Google account. Roger P. wants to know, does it support HDMI ARC? That I don't know. All right, cast to your TV, yada, yada, yada. Okay, so here we go. Now the first thing I'm going to try actually is to see if we can Chromecast from Netflix. I doubt that we can. And so now this is the data collection screen here. And it's a little more focused in as I'm looking at it than you see on screen. So the focus is a little sharper than what my camera is currently conveying. I'm just going to agree to this because I'd like to know what it's going to do. All right, so it detected my HD home run. That's why it's asking me to scan for TV channels. And here you go. You've got your run-of-the-mill Android interface here. Now, one of the things that this is going to do is it's going to install the apps, and then I'm sure there's going to be updates. So let's go and check and see. See, I always get nervous when you have these Droid settings. Like, what? Is this like a legit installation or what? Playback settings, display. Let's want to see what it's got in here. Screen resolution. Yeah, so it's 720p 60 right now. And I don't think this supports HDR. So David wants to know outside. So if I put this outside right now, you wouldn't see it. That's how dim these are. And what you're seeing is and I'll pan the camera here just to show you what the conditions of this room are. So right now, let me zoom the camera out. Pardon the mess. And I'm just going to show you, this is like the environment I have it in right now. So there is a door with a window here. And so there's a little bit of natural light coming in, but that's kind of this is what we're seeing right now, with a little bit of natural light. So this kind of projector, you're going to want to keep super dark. As dark as you can make the room is what you're going to want, because that's what's going to look the best. And here's what it looks like on the table here. There you go, doing its thing. All right, so what I want to do is I want to see what version of Android it's running. I think it's Android 9. Let's go back here. Hang on a second. I want to check the Android version. Device preferences. And believe it or not, I can actually see it better projected on my screen here than let's see if there's an update. Usually it tells you like the about. That's what I want to see. Okay. BenQ system updates. Version, so it's Android 9. The security patch level is December 5th of 2020, so it's a little behind on security updates, almost a year behind. And this is brand new. So there is an update. No, it's on the latest version. Okay. So this is the most recent version. David wants to know, would it work outside? So yes, it would work outside. It does have a battery on board. So, you know, I think what you could expect from it, and somebody should check on the product page. So they do have a recommended distance that you should go with it. I think, you know, you could probably project about 100 inches, and if it's dark enough, it'll look close to what it looks like here. You know, so it's not going to be spectacular, but it's on par with what we've seen from Anchor and some of the other ones that we've looked at. But the color looks decent on it. It's a little, maybe a little on the cold side. You know, it's hard to tell. I have to look at a couple of things to see exactly what it's looking like. But it does have Prime Video on board. Now here's what happens if we go into, so I'm going to go to the Google Play Store real quick. And we're going to go look for Netflix, and we're not going to find it. Let's see what happens. So here's Disney Plus. So we got Peacock and Paramount, but if I type in Netflix, we're not going to find it. And I don't know if Netflix is demanding like a royalty or something. Here, let's just say it. I'm going to push the button. I'm pushing the Netflix.
Here's Netflix on the Google Play Store.
Okay, so it's bringing us there. Yeah, your device is not compatible with this version. So you can see it, but you can't load it. So what you have to do, and this is where things go off the rails for me. And this is why I think, you know, getting a, so now you got to go find the BenQ app manager, wherever that might be. Here it is. So it's not even on the main screen. And then you got to go into this other thing. And so now you're side-loading all of these apps in. Apps provided and operated by parties external to BenQ. Service quality and technical, yeah. So we go to the store. See what I mean? Like this is the experience. Like really? And it's like a whole like process. So it's got the app toy. Is that one of those third-party app stores? I think that's what this is. Yeah, and this is exactly my concern, George, is that you got to be careful here because you're who knows where these apps are coming from, right? So unknown. And then like the user has to go through this process. Well, let me actually record some B-roll here just to kind of show the process of this, because this is like, it's kind of scary, right? So hit record. We'll go to the install. And so now you're dropped out of this beautiful Android TV interface, and now you're getting this thing like unknown apps. And I'm like, really? And then you got to do this. And by the way, this is part of the lawsuit that Epic has filed against Google, because this is the process that you have to go through to install Fortnite. I think I might need to clean the lens on this camera. It's a little fuzzy, isn't it? Because the projector doesn't look that fuzzy to my eyes here. I think I might have a little bit of a dirty lens. And I actually have a lens cleaning cloth right here. So let me go grab my... Yeah, so I'm not crazy about this part of it. And this is not a unique problem to BenQ, but I feel like if you're going to spend this much on a projector, you know, wouldn't you want it to you know, have Netflix on it? If that's kind of like what they're selling, right? I think I adjusted my position here. Yeah, I did. Let me go. And it didn't seem to improve things either, did it? Okay. Yeah, I think the problem is just the interaction of the projected image in my... Okay, so now we have Aptoid installed, so I think I can load it now. And so now we're falling into this thing. Now you'll see... Okay, so this has got a little bit more of a TV-like interface. I'm going to allow this. And now if I want Netflix, I can go here, and I can install it from here. but it's coming from Aptoid or whatever. It's not like the legit Netflix, right? All right, and for your security, the phone is not allowed to install apps from, see what I mean? And you got to go here, and now we got to allow Aptoid. And every Kenyan says, review the hardware. Well, this is part of the hardware. This is what they're, they're selling you an integrated projector, but you have to be aware that there's hoops that you have to jump through in order to use it properly. So that's part of it. Okay, so now let's install it again. But the image quality is good. I mean, again, it looks a little blurry on camera. And that's what's so hard about reviewing projectors, is getting it to look as close as it does to what my eyes see. And the brightness is actually pretty close to what I'm seeing right now. So this is a completely white screen. David Bound says, yeah, you know what I think about this, which is, and we'll hook up a couple things to it in a minute. I think what's interesting about projectors is that nearly all of them now include some kind of Android device that allows fully integrated kind of use cases. And I think what especially throughout the COVID times, I think people have been doing a lot of gatherings outdoors to watch movies. And so, the selling point of a projector that you can take outside and project out in the backyard is kind of the selling point. That's what people are looking for these days. But I just want to show you, like, after you go through all this, what Netflix you end up with, because it's not the one you think it is. And I'm probably going to have to type in a password again too. So, but I'm hoping I can show you that it's the tablet version and not the lean back TV one. If it is, then I'll stand corrected. That might be, maybe it does sideload the Android TV one. I'm not sure. Yes, I'm pushing get started and nothing's happening. So I think what I have to do, oh, that's the focus button. Oh, that's cool. It's got like a refocus thing there. Cool. That's how the focus works. And I can hit back to save and exit. Okay. So that button does that. Oh, hang on a second. So that is my, you can't see the password, so you're good. So I can log into it. And let's pop into my account here. So you see how it's like, it's already scrolling? I can't even control it. Like, how do I get to my, so there's got to be a button here for adding like a, oh, now it's doing that. What is that? I already signed in. I'm not even sure what I'm looking at here. So usually they have like this mouse mode that you can enable so that you have some idea of what you're doing. Okay, oh, there it goes. Okay, so it was doing the edit. Yeah, I can't even see what it's illuminating. So right now it's on edit. If I hit it again, now it's loading the kids one up. So it's really hard to navigate because again, you're getting the tablet version. And you'll see this. Yeah, see now you got the download. That might be kind of good, right? You can download into the projector. You can't do that on Android TV. So that's maybe one thing that would work. But as you can see now, we've got like this tablet interface. And I can't play any of this stuff because there's all this copyright garbage, but that's how that works. Now I just hit another button. I hit this button, this little triangle. And this is called Family Land. I've never heard of this. Agree, and And every Kenyan wants me to install DRM info and check if it has Widevine L1. Yeah, I'll take a look at that in a second. I don't think it's going to have the high-end Widevine because it's only 720p. All right, it's another BenQ thing. All right, I'll look at that later and see what the heck that is. So let's do we'll do the Widevine manager. So we'll go to Get More Apps. All right, so we're looking for DRM info, okay. DRM info. All right, so what's the name of the app? Let's see. It's not taking me to the App Store. DRM info app.
Here's DRM info on the Google Play Store.
I gotta say, the speaker sounds pretty good on it. So David says, when I used to travel for business, I would always bring my own small Roku. Yeah, and I think that would be a great solution because here's the thing. You can, for an extra $25, and they should almost make it so it could fit a Roku in there. This is what the Roku looks like. It's not very big. This is like $30, and you got yourself you got everything for an extra $30. You just have to power it and plug it into the HDMI. So that would work. Okay, so here we go. So this is the info here. And let's take a look at, what's interesting is that it's reporting a 1080p resolution, but it's only a 720p projector. So it's downscaling from 1080p to 720p. And then the Widevine, it supports that. It's L1. Widevine L1. I think that's the high one, right? Let's see. I always forget which one is which. Yeah, so it's L1, and it could stream HD content from Netflix. But it doesn't support it for whatever reason. Does not make sense, does it? But there you go. All right, so let's take a look. We'll take a look at I want to hear the sound out of these speakers. So you know what I'm going to do first here? I'm going to load up my Plex app. I've got a bunch of YouTube music on Plex that I can just play through the speakers. So we're going to do that real quick. So bear with me on that. And I'm sorry if I'm missing questions here. And every Kenyan says, that's what I thought, L1 is the best. So it supports the best one. It just doesn't work with Netflix for whatever reason. Very odd. All right, give me a second here on Plex. Okay. My account is linked. I'm just going to jump into Plex Music. And if you're curious what this thing looks like when it's on, I will show you. There it is. And let's go to my iCloud PR2100. By the way, my NAS box that runs all of my media stuff, I had a hard drive die on it. I had to replace a hard drive. But because it's RAID 1, with the dead hard drive, I just had to pull out the dead one and put in a new one, and it just rebuilt the RAID and it was good to go. Pretty cool. All right, so I'm going to go over to my music library real quick. And I've got a YouTube safe music library. Hang on, let me just go select it here. Because that's one of the selling points of this projector is the speakers on it. So I'm going to go to music. So go to my library here, and bear with me for 1 second. Let me do my folders. Okay, YouTube Safe Music, and Listen to some bro time. And that's like the big deal with this one is the speaker quality. So let's pull this up here. I'll show you what it looks like on the screen so we can get a feel for that. I mean, it's carrying pretty well. My remote just stopped responding here. Yeah, the remote is acting up. So, you know, it carries, it's loud, it sounds okay, but I will say, let me get out of this thing here. It's playing the audio still. So if I can get it to stop playing sound here. Stop. So it sounds okay. It doesn't have, so it's got a good range of sound, but it's not a deep thunderous bass, but it carries. So I think it would carry well. How that works. CJ wants to see some YouTube. Yeah, let me pull up my YouTube channel. We'll watch one of my videos, and we'll see how that looks. So let me just get logged in here. And yes, so I will say compared to other projectors, George, you are correct. It definitely sounds better than the average projector for sure. And actually that could be a real benefit if you are, if you are doing presentations that involve audio. Absolutely. So I'll give you that. All right, let me go into my YouTube channel here. Should we watch what we're watching now? Here's some real. I'll give you that. All right, let me go into my YouTube channel here. Oops, hit the wrong button. Should we watch what we're watching now? Here's some real. Oh, wait, this is weird. It like botched my live stream. Let me go rewind a little bit here. So this is. It doesn't like the live stream. All right, let me try something else here. Let's go back. I've been watching a lot of Norm Macdonald videos. He passed away. That was really sad. Here, let's do one of my. Oh, you know what I'll do? I'll give you a preview of tonight's video. How about that? Let's take a look at that. Oops, wrong button again. And yeah, so, and it's hard to judge, by the way, it's hard to judge the quality of the speakers, just out of fairness here. It's hard to judge the quality of the speakers because the only microphone we're going off of right now is the one that's on my lapel. And that's why I don't usually do these audio tests when I do these videos, because it often doesn't accurately reflect the quality of what you actually hear. So I try my best to describe it. So not thunderous bass, but it's loud, it is clear, it's got a good range of sound, and it's better than other portable projectors that you might run into. Yes, and that was it. I watched that one actually a couple of times. And then I had to show it to my wife. Like, this is so good. Like, just what a G. You know what I mean? Like, he was so good because he was so unique, right? He had his own. He was funny because he was funny, and I think that's the mark of a good comedian. Because I could tell that joke and not do nearly as well at that. And I had no idea that he stole that from Eisen's. Oh, that's funny. And he also passed away before young, didn't he? He was very funny also. All right, so let's take a look at a YouTube video. It sounds pretty good.
Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and we got a quick
It looks
one
good.
today, a pair of media remotes for the Xbox consoles from 8BitDo. These are designed to control your streaming apps, and
I've got it cranked right now.
on your Xbox and navigate the menus.
But it sounds good.
You can't game on them. They are
It looks good too. The color balance is good.
The Xbox One series of consoles and the new Series S and X, but they don't work with the 360. And if you're like me and always hitting your control sticks and fast forwarding when you're using the regular game controller to watch your streaming apps, one of these might be really useful. We're going to take a quick look at both of them in just a second, but I do want to let you know.
Yeah, I think it looks good.
These came in
you know, here, let me pause this real quick.
For all the opinions you're about to hear are my own. No one is paying.
So you know what I like about it is the color looks good.
For this review, nor has anyone reviewed or approved what you're about to see before it was uploaded. So
let's get the screen off here
and see what these remotes are all about.
So,
now the short remote here costs $20.
Now, first of all, my videos are no gift to mankind here, but the color of what I saw on my display when I edited the video later looks
and the longer one
close to what I see here. So it looks good.
Apps that use numeric entry, then the short remote will probably be more than adequate.
It looks good.
Both of these are backlit. The backlight illuminates when you move the controller a little bit, and they light up quite nicely in the dark. They're powered by AAA batteries, 2 of them, and they install inside.
But yeah, I think it looks good.
And the batteries
and
with the remote too, which is
to give you a sense, I got to adjust the white balance on the camera a little bit because I'm seeing a little more. It's a little warmer to my eyes than it is to the camera right now.
Line of sight to your Xbox console for it to register button pushes. You can't play games on these. They're only for navigating through menus.
Yeah, so the picture, just to CJ's point in the chat, the picture is a little warmer. I got to adjust the white balance on the camera when I do the final review. The picture's a little warmer than it appears to you right now. Not much warmer, but it's warmer.
So for example, here as we're watching TV, I do have the ability to pause TV in this app, so I can just hit the pause button here and then start playing again by hitting play. Likewise, I could do the same commands with the Xbox buttons on the top here. So for example, A would bring up the menu and allow me to pause. But with the pause button, I can do it all in one push versus 2. So you will get basic media controls here built in.
And by the way, it's just a little low because I am sitting across the room from it, so that's why it's a little on the lower side. So what I want to try now, so I've got a few more minutes here, let me connect up the Nintendo Switch to the mix, and we'll see how the games look on it. I have to test my button push thing that I do, but let's try that real quick and see how that looks. I'm going to zoom out my camera here a little bit, and we're going to connect the Switch to the projector's HDMI port. And what I'm eager to see here, pardon the mess, this is like, I'm adding tables all over the place. And these things are never usually that great for gaming in the sense that they do add an appreciable amount of input lag. And it varies greatly based on the projector that you use. DLP is better than most, but that's not saying much, right? So let's get my little docking thing. I got this neat little dock. It looks like a little GameCube. It's from Brook. I reviewed this, so if you're curious. But I used the Nintendo power adapter with it just to be careful. I have an OG Switch, like one of the original Switches. So, and when I built this room, I put plug molding in everywhere, so that has been a really good thing. All right, so we're going to plug this in. And then I'm going to take my HDMI cable here. It's got a full-size HDMI port on the side. So I'm going to plug the HDMI into the docking station, and we're going to plug it into the projector. Now, what I am curious is what happens when I place the switch. Oh, it switched over. So it looks like once it detects something on that port, it will switch to that. So let me dock the switch on here. What's going on here? There we go. Okay, so the switch is docked. And now we should see, yep, there we go, perfect. I was playing a little Sega Ages stuff. So let me go back over here and get my camera repositioned. And I'll pull up, I have this game that I test whenever I look at projectors, because it's like one of the few Switch games that I know runs at like a true 60p. So let me go out to the menu here. And let's go and check out, it's called Fast RMX. I may have to reinstall it. I'll tell you what, the speakers sound really good on this. I have to say, like I said, it doesn't have a lot of bass to it, but it's clear and it's loud, it carries. So that is a positive. And where did I put my, oh, I think it's alphabetical. I have a lot of games. My excuse is that I just like to have a lot of games to test things out with, right? Actually, I gotta tell you, it sounds pretty good. Like I said, it doesn't have a lot of bass, but it carries. Let me go walk over a little bit closer. We'll do like a time attack here to see how that looks. Should I want to do this? Let's see. Let's do a championship race. They changed the game. I haven't played this in a while. All right, here we go. It looks good. Let me get a little closer to the screen. Oh, I had to hit my button. There we go. Yeah, it looks good. I gotta say, it's loud. The image is super clear. Woo! Oh. Yeah, see what you got to do there? You got to hit the blue thing. So it switches phases. So if I hit yellow, it goes fast on the yellow. And then...
Only 2 laps to go.
Yeah, there we go. Woo! Yeah, I could see this being kind of fun for from a gaming perspective. Oh yeah, there we go. Now I'm cooking. Yeah, that looks good. It sounds great. Like I said, it doesn't have the bass, but it's clear and it's loud and it's cranked up, so we're not getting distortion. So, yeah, I think it's pretty good. Not bad. It looks pretty good. And Powell says, I think it's your recording. Great upscaling too, got to say, because it's really sharp. Yeah, it looks nice and sharp. I don't know how it looked to you all. I'm going to check the recording, but it looks really good. I think what I might end up doing is getting my phone out and getting some better pictures of the screen, like a little more closer in, just to show how it looks. But it's good. I don't know about the latency yet. What I've discovered over the years, and I'm going to hook up my analog console. So in the full review, we'll have a detailed look at that. what I have found in testing these things is that occasionally you don't feel like there's lag, and there is. It's really weird. So what I usually like to do is hook up I have an analog NT Mini, and I'll hook that up and take the video. And what, maybe I'll try my GoPro to do that. I got to experiment with that a little bit. What happened was when I got the iPhone 12 last year, they changed how the slow motion video works. So before, it would give you, if you just exported the video, it would give you 240 frames per second. But now it like processes it before it lets you download it. So I have to take the iPad out to get the 240p on the thing. It's a mess. So, but I think it's good. I mean, if it's you know it's pretty good. The Brown wants to see if am I the only one that wanted to see how he finished the game. Yeah, this is the extent of my video game playing. I play for like a minute or two and then jump out. Let's see if I'll load up something else here. Let's find something else I have on the thing. Let's see. I don't have a lot of games on here. We'll do Pac-Man. We'll do Pac-Man real quick. You all played this one? This is Pac-Man Championship Edition. I've had a blast with this one. And Mark Smith also makes a good point that varying latency. Yeah, so I'll pick that up because I usually do like a bunch of button pushes just to see if there's any variation in it. Typically, these projectors add like 40 to 60 milliseconds on top of what you normally get. So that's what I found with the DLPs at least. So that's what I've seen with it. But it looks better to me when I'm standing in front of it than you're seeing on the camera right now, to be honest. Let me get it a little bit tighter on the screen for you. Let me just go up a little bit here. I think it looks good. And we're not in like a totally dark room. You know, it's dark enough. Here, we'll do a score attack here and see how that works. All right, so let me do a quick recording here. Capture a little bit more B-roll. I gotta say, you know, from a gaming perspective, it's pretty good. I like the sound on it, right? This game is a blast. If you haven't played this one and you like Pac-Man, it's very unforgiving because you don't have a lot of room for error. Oops. So if you make one wrong move like I just did there, you're screwed. And they don't give you a lot of time, especially on the harder levels. Oh no, no. Oh no. Where'd it go? Shoot. See, I'm totally messing up. Yeah, this one's called Pac-Man Championship Edition. It's on all of the major platforms, but I got it on the Switch just so because I like to play it handheld. You know, it's one of these quick pick up and play kind of things. It's incredibly challenging, and it's a really. You know, we'll do one more round. Yeah, it was embarrassingly awful in that one. Let's go. Let's try this again real quick. And by the way, the game is tilted. So the actual image is tilted. It's not the keystoning that's off here. And so what you have to do is activate the ghosts, and then you want to get a chain going. And you'll see what happens when you get the full chain in a minute. Now the ghosts won't get you initially until you upset them, and then they come after you. This is one of the easier levels, by the way. And so then we got to go get the... So now we're in the power pellet mode. So now we can take out all the ghosts here. Oh, shoot. So, I mean, this is hard. And it continues onward. So it runs pretty good on the Switch. I found that the graphics are better when you're docked. It feels like the performance feels a little better in docked mode. But you get into like a real zen on this after a while. It's really fun. And so you want to activate the sleeping ghosts to build longer chains, and you can build up higher scores the higher the chain gets. So you can see how much longer they are now. And then the lines are where they're going to travel. So you don't know exactly how they're going to traverse this, but you know they will definitely come across on one of the lines there. And I'm running out of time. I got to get this guy in like 3 seconds here. Here we go. So yeah, that's it. Good stuff. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. You know, it's pricey, and I think, you know, it's like everything else. It's like, you know, when you want thin and light and small, that's kind of the deal. But no, I like the sound. I like the build quality. You know, I'm not crazy about the Netflix thing, but I think you can get around that pretty easily. Just plug in a Roku or something. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It looks like BenQ stopped by. But yeah, it's good stuff. I am enjoying it. Yeah, Jim says the Pac-Man game is an endorphin simulator. It certainly is. It's addicting. I really like it. It runs a little better on the Xbox and the PlayStation, but when docked on the Switch, it's really cool. But yeah, I like that one a lot. And William says a real upgrade. Yeah, it's you know, I've had that game for a couple of years. I keep playing it. So, and Guy says and actually, by the way, speaking of latency, and I'll measure the latency when I'm finishing up some of my stuff. I have found that this game in particular is very unforgiving for latency because you've got to be really exact. So I'm feeling like the latency is pretty good on it, but again, we'll double check that when I do my stuff there. Matt Buckmaster wants to know: is there any appreciable stereo separation? That's a good one. Let's find out. I think what I can do to test that is jump over to, so it's 2.1. So you've got left, right, and center. So I'm going to jump back. Actually, this might be a good opportunity to try out. So I'm going to jump back to Android TV. So here's your options. You can plug in a USB-C computer, which I'll test when we do the full review. The Android TV is what is plugged into it inside. You know, I wonder if you could fit something else in there. You know, if you could fit a Roku stick, I should try that. If that would work, I imagine it would. Although the remote might be a problem. That's probably why that wouldn't work. You know, I'm thinking about it. But let me go back to the Android thing. And what I'll do is I will load up there's a YouTube video that I think has safe music that we can do the left-right separation thing. And then I will Chromecast it from my phone. Yeah, this is the one I look at. Okay, so let's go. This is a Master Study is the channel. And I'm going to Chromecast from my phone to the projector. Let's see if it does it. There it goes, yeah.
Warning, this video contains flashes and moving images.
All right, so let's see if we can hear a stereo separation on it. Now I'm standing centered behind it. Yeah, it's not appreciable. You know, if it's a little louder out of the right-hand side when the other part kicked on versus the left-hand side. So, but you're not going to get a wide separation. So I think in that instance, you'd probably want to hook up some external speakers, right, to get a better, if you wanted to space them further apart. So Guy wants to know, what is the largest picture that this can put out? Let me go back to the product specs. They sent me a whole bunch of reviewer documents on this. By the way, they sent this to the channel free of charge, in full disclosure. Let me check what they sent me. You know what's funny? Like, I do one of these live streams, and I don't check my email for an hour, and like I get inundated. Like the whole world ends. Thankfully, it's Friday, so it won't be too awful, hopefully. Let's see. Let me go look up BenQ and see what she sent me. But so far, I'm pretty happy with it. Okay. I'm going through the specs here. The battery life is 2.5 hours. So, you know, I would say it could get you through most of a movie. We should check the brightness if it's at full brightness. I'm pretty sure it is. And they recommend up to about 100 inches. So it's DLP, 720p, 100,000 to 1 aspect ratio, or contrast ratio, which is what you would typically see with DLP, so it's in that scope. 20,000 to 30,000 hours of bulb life, and it's an LED, an Osram LED. I don't think you can replace the bulb, but 20,000 to 30,000 hours is certainly fine, right? The battery will die before that. The Android device is not, it says, oh, it's the main chip. Okay, so that's not the Android one. I'll have to look up the Android specs. It says it only has 32 megabytes of flash memory, but I can't imagine, you can't put 32 megs on Android there. But it is DLP 720p, 300 ANSI lumens, 16:9 aspect ratio. So that is that. And Jim says, for a portable system, loudness and clarity is probably what they were aiming for. Yeah, and it's both. So, and I've got everything cranked up. It's not distorted. So the speakers are good on that. Oh, right. So Matt says it's 2.1 would not be left, right. Yeah, so right, they're calling it 2.1. Let me just double check on that. Speaker. Built-in speaker. Okay, so it has, yeah, they're calling it 2.1, but your 0.1 is a woofer. So it's 4 watts times 2, I don't know what kind of speakers they are, plus an 8-watt woofer. So the woofer, not a subwoofer, is the bass. So you got 2 4-watt speakers on either side. But it's you know, like I said, it's clear and crisp. And so if you're doing outdoor movie nights, like this would allow you to do that without a secondary speaker. And a guy says he's currently watching it from 1,500 miles away. It's true. So, yeah, when you live stream it, it goes a lot farther than the 100 inches. Yeah, and I think, you know, these LED lights last a while. You know, I'm guessing it's, you know, it's illuminating with an LED bulb, so it'll go a long time, but not forever. It's funny, I had a friend of my dad's who was putting in these LED light bulbs at his house. This is back when LEDs were first becoming a thing. And he goes, these will be the last light bulbs I ever have to replace. He was kind of melancholy about the fact that these are light bulbs that will outlive him. And I guess he was kind of right about that. So price point on this one, you can click on the Amazon link in the video description. This one is $5.99, and there's a coupon that they applied on it. So there's like I think it's like $90 off right now. So it's $5.99 minus 15. So yeah, so so I think you can get it for like $500 with the coupon, or just over $500. Yeah, these things are not cheap. And I think it's here, I'll give you another view of it. Let me turn the lights on so you can see what it looks like. It always comes down to the build thing, you know, in the sense that if you're getting something portable, you are paying a heavier price tag for that. I'm going to switch it off here and see how that goes. I got to get moving here in a few minutes. But it's kind of neat. So I showed this before. I think you can all see this. You know, I'll bring it back over. Let's let the thing cool off here for a second. I'll bring it back over here and just show you how it works. And then I got to run. But I'll be reviewing this next week because I still got a couple things I got to test on it. So what I like about it, move all these things out of the way here. So it's got a stand. It's magnetic. You can put it on a tripod if you want. And then if you dock it to the stand here, it kind of does this. And it's got the keystoning built in, so it'll get it straight. But it's magnetic, so the stand kind of stays with it. But you don't want to lose the stand, because if you lose the stand, it's going to like roll around. It's going to roll around forever. So you want to make sure you keep that stand there. The good thing is that they included a really nice carrying case with it. So that was kind of nice. It all comes as one thing. Happy Face on Amazon wants to know about the subwoofer. So it's a woofer and not a subwoofer. So there is bass, but there's not booming bass. So it doesn't thump like a subwoofer would thump, if that makes sense. But it's much better, I think, than any projector speaker that I have looked at out of a built-in projector. So it sounds good. I would say it would sound about what you would expect a Bluetooth speaker of this size to sound like. And it will work as a Bluetooth speaker on its own. Anna Brown says, you want a Simchat Torah gift? Huh? I got other projectors too. So I got probably another one in the back there. I do have like a cheaper one back there if you need something. But yeah, Simchat Torah is coming up. David Bound, but Sukkot is first, I think, right? When I was a student at UConn, I was part of a loudspeaker test where we wanted to see if a speaker could be heard halfway across campus. It worked, and we played the Ramones Blitzkrieg Pop, fun times. How bad was it for the people that were near the speaker? That's what I want to know. Because UConn's a pretty big campus. And Sam Lazar, yeah, Sam Lazar is in Australia, so his summer is coming up. My summer is ending as we speak. But in Australia, the summer is coming up. Yeah, I think it, you know, for what it's supposed to be, and I think that's kind of the value proposition, if you will, is that, you know, the speaker is loud on here. It's just if you're going to do Netflix, you're going to have to plug in something different. And then it autofocuses, auto keystones. And you got your inputs over here. And then I have to test this also. The USB port, for those of you who are into USB input, this is not connected to the Android component. So if you plug in media files on a USB device, it'll play through the firmware that's built in, which is fine, right? Apparently, it supports display input, I think. It says plus DP. So I don't know if this is an output or an input. So I'm going to have to test that a little bit. Actually, let me check the documents as to what that USB-C port does. USB. Okay, so it says USB-C charging and display port for plug and play. So I don't know if that's a display port input or an output. I'm assuming an input because the Android device doesn't have any USB-C on it because it's got an Android stick that you have to install in it when you first get it. If you want to see what that looked like, I can show you. Let me pull that up real quick because we did that earlier. It's one of these two files here. So the first thing we had to do is we had to get the spudger out and like open it up. So like it kind of reminded me of like the old days of my Apple IIe. You had to like, when you bought it, the first thing you had to do was take it apart and install stuff. So what we had to do is open up the case, and then the Android device is on a separate stick. So there's an HDMI port that plugs into. So let me show you the other clip here. So this is the installation. So you basically take that thing there, you plug the USB power into it. That USB is, I'm guessing it probably would be OTG, but you can't access it. So that stick plugs into the HDMI port on the unit. So it's independent of the projector's firmware, which leads to some possibilities. They could always, put something more powerful in there later. That's how that kind of comes together. Spiky wants to know instant off. Yeah, I think it is instant off because I just turned it off and it did not have a cool down period. It doesn't get all that warm either. It's warm to the touch here, but it's not hot. So it's an LED, so it's going to be pretty efficient. I don't believe it is waterproof. Let me check if there's an IP rating. Yeah, it is not IP rated, so I would keep it away from dust and water. Let's see. And you could hook it up with a portable battery for longer life. Yeah, and it actually has a battery built in too, so you get like 2.5 hours. But yeah, you could get a barrel connector battery adapter, I'm sure, or hook it up to a little generator or something, right? So David's talking about the speakers. I remember one night, so I was in college when the Star Wars movies were, remember when they did the Star Wars re-release in '97? And so the night the first movie, it was actually the most fun movie experience of my life because I was too young to see Star Wars for the first time in the movie theater. So I never actually saw it on a big screen before. And so the night that the movie came out, it was crazy on campus. Like people were nuts. Like there was a movie theater up the road, packed to the gills. Everybody was dressed up. I wasn't. I was just there to watch. It was, so somebody was blasting the Star Wars theme song. You could hear it all over campus out of their dorm room that night. It was really, really cool. T-Woo says the most important things for a projector is brightness, resolution, runtime, and wireless connection. Yeah, so this connects to Wi-Fi through the Android component. The runtime is about 2.5 hours on the battery. I think, I got to look into that a little bit more because it might be less at the brightness level we were at. But the brightness feels competitive with the Anchor nebulous projectors because we looked at one of those not too long ago. So it's competitive with that. It's not terribly bright, so you're going to need a very dark environment. Andrew Seung says it is splash proof. Okay, so it wasn't in my reviewer's guide here that it was splash proof. So you can put it by the pool, I guess, if that's the case, but don't drop it in the pool. Let me see, GV30. Let's look that up real quick. BenQ GV30 splash. Let's see if it's splash proof. I'm not seeing anything anywhere about that as its feature. Let's take a look. Specifications. Yeah, I don't see anything in the product specs about water and splash proofness, so I think just common sense, like you're not going to immerse it in the water, obviously. But I would keep it away from water, even if it is splash proof. So Guy saw the original Star Wars with his dad. So I was a year old when it came out, the first one. So the first one that I saw in the theater was Return of the Jedi in 1983. Because I was in 79 when Empire came out, I was 2.5. So I was probably a little too young to go to the movies. I was into Star Wars at that point. So, oh, Anjung says, no, it's not splash proof. Okay, so the GS50 is, okay. Yeah, tub toy. Yeah, don't do that. Richard says, okay, so that's a good question about this. I don't think it charges through this USB port. I think it is just a display input, but I can plug in my USB-C here. Hopefully it doesn't fry it. If anyone from BenQ is watching, if I should not plug this in right now, tell me quickly. So I just plugged in some power. Oh, it is charging. Yep. Look at that. You're right. It's charging. So you probably could use a battery on there. I just don't know what the power draw is. So that might be another experiment to see what it's drawing over that. You know, we could test that real quick. Let's try that real quick. Where is my little thingy? So I have one of these little USB power meter thingies, wherever I put it. So where did I put it? See, this is my problem. Every time I put things away, they disappear. I got HDMI dongles, I got all sorts of dongles and whatnot, but my little power meter, I'm going to have to track that thing down again. Where did it go? Oh, here it is. Okay. Now this thing is not like 100% accurate, but it is accurate enough to know what kind of power we're going to get out of this thing. So let's plug this in. I'm just going to flip the thing around here. And it's kind of dim. So right now it's taken about 12 watts over the USB-C. Let's turn it on and see what we get. And now that it's coming up, so you probably couldn't run, your battery would have to deliver, it's doing about 30 watts right now with it on. So let's see if I can get in a little bit closer on this thing. It's a shame you can't see this on my camera here. For whatever reason, it just doesn't like to appear visible. But it's pulling about 30 watts. I better start keeping some notes here. So you would need a USB-C battery that could deliver 30 watts of power. Look at that. It's like projecting in the background there. Because that's what it's drawing when it's on. But that's cool. It's a power delivery port. That's awesome. So let me make a note here. We're learning all sorts of stuff about this. This is why I like to do these live streams, because I get really good questions. So you're gonna need like a super battery for this, because that's a lot. It's drawing 30 watts over the USB. And it's got a fan on board. It's not all that noisy. I mean, you could probably barely hear it. And then when it's off, the battery charge is much lower. And that fan is just like the cool down. So it does that quick cool down, and now it's done. So it's pretty quick to shut it down. But that's cool. I didn't realize you could do that. So thank you for asking about that. So we need to do the USB-C. We also need to do a lag test still. All right. Twin Detroit wants to know, can you play PS5 on it? Yes. Yeah, we played the Nintendo Switch on it a little while ago. That seemed to work just fine. So definitely check that out. Yeah, and this is a neat little doodad here. This is like, you can find these all over the place, but they give you a readout as to what power you are transiting over your USB ports. Oh, okay. Matt says that's to clear the farts in the room. Yeah, just flows them all out of there. Blows out the COVID and the farts. Mike says 30 watts at 5 volts. No, it was not at 5 volts. I will have to check what the voltage was on that. But yeah, you would probably need a newer PD bank for that. It was definitely drawing more than 5 volts. And I should have looked at that when I did it a second ago. But actually, we could probably go back and play the live stream. Let me go look at that real quick and see what we got. I should have looked at that when I did it a second ago. Let me see. Actually, we could probably go back and play the live stream. Okay, so looking at my screen here, it looked like it was going about 14 volts and 2 amps. Does that seem right? Yeah, I think that's about right. I better start keeping some notes here. Let me see. Yeah, it looks like it's about 14 and change, almost 15 volts and 2 amps, 2.2 amps. I think that's what it was drawing. Yeah. Thank you, Every. 14 volts at 2 amps. Wireless, yes. So you can use it wirelessly. It will support Chromecasting, but it doesn't work with Netflix. So I think for a lot of folks, you might want to plug a Chromecast in if you really want the full Monty, right? But if you're doing Disney Plus, Prime Video, most of the other services seem to be supported on here. It's got Widevine L1. I should note that also. So I don't know what Netflix is doing. They must be putting some requirements in on these manufacturers that they don't want to follow, because the Anchor one has the same problem. And yeah, so pretty much 15 volts, 2 amps power delivery. That's what it seems like. I'll make a note of that. That is correct. And Jim makes a good point here. Yeah, I mean, I think, you could grab like my little Roku that I had a minute ago that is gone missing. Here it is. Yeah, I mean, just throw the little Roku in there. It's not much bigger than the stick that's inside of it. I bet you could probably, let's see if we can fit it in there. Because you need a USB cable to charge it. Can you get USB power out of there? That's a good question. I bet you can. I'll try that out and see if it supplies power. I'm pretty sure it does. Let's find a USB cable that we can plug into it. So if we put this and that, where'd my adapter go? And this and that, and this and this. Let's see if it powers up the Roku. Does the Roku have a, let me find my HDMI cable. Yeah, we'll see if the Roku powers up when I plug it in. Because you could probably fit this in the box with it. This is a longer cable than is necessary, but it's the cable that's closest. So let's see what happens when I plug this little guy in here. It may not provide power. Let's see what happens here. And we'll know if it's projecting, because I can just project it on the wall here. All right, so I've got the Roku plugged into the USB port. Yeah, it's powering up. I got a red light. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or about insufficient power. Okay. Huh, so it's not providing all that much power out. Let me flip this over and see if that might, I doubt that's going to work, but you got to be careful with these. Oh, there it goes. Yeah. So you could plug in a Roku and power it from, now it's about to switch to the USB-C because I plugged it into the USB-C port. So I got to switch back to, but you could get away with this that way. So if I go back to HDMI, now here's the other kicker. Does it do CEC? No. So you would need a separate remote. But it is projecting. Here, I'll point it over here so you can see So you see it got the Roku up there now. And so the Roku is plugged into that. So yeah, I could totally power a Roku. And this is going off its battery right now too, by the way. So that's pretty cool. So that's a pretty full functioning USB port. The only thing it doesn't do is it doesn't work with the Android side. So without the, yes, the answer to this question is yes. I haven't tried that, but I'm seeing how it works, and I believe the answer to that is yes, it will manage without the thing installed at all. And I think, though, you may even get better battery life out of it if you don't install it. So that might work. So that's pretty cool. All right, so let's make a note of that. So that's neat. That's what I mean. There's like a lot of little details on this thing, right? And I would not have found all these had you not been asking me questions, which is why I like to do these live streams. And Matt is wondering, isn't there an Android stick? Wouldn't that fit in the internal? Yes, if you could find one. I'm trying to think if there is one that is that small. I haven't looked at one. Most of them have been pretty big. So this projector has a built-in battery. Yes. Yep, so it has a built-in battery, and then it can output through that USB, or you can charge through it. And I'm guessing Anjao here is from BenQ. So the battery capacity is 4,800 milliamp hours. So it's about a mid-size, like a mid-size battery charger. If there is no socket to charge, you can use a power bank instead. Please note that the power bank must support USB-C. Yep, there you go. So you need a power bank that can support that. And you want a big battery, because when when they rate these things as milliamp hours, they're basing it on 5 volts, not 15. So if you're drawing more power out, those batteries are going to run down quicker. And I'm guessing the 4,800 milliamp hour is based on 5 volts, not on 15, if I'm not mistaken. Will it stream correct if I connect my Android phone? Oh, you know what we should try? We should try my Samsung phone to see if DeX works with it. That's another thing we got to test through that port, now that we have a USB-C port, right? DeX. See, this is what happens. You go down the rabbit hole here, and it's like, ooh, let's try this, let's try that. And then you got the barrel connector, so you can... Is this that's not my Samsung phone, hang on. I keep a Samsung phone around just for this purpose. It's the only thing I use it for, is testing DeX out. And I'm sure it's dead. I haven't turned, oh, it's still working. So this is a Galaxy S8. And what I need is a cable that supports DisplayPort, right? So where am I going to find that? I think maybe this cable might. Let's see if this one works. I doubt it, though. Hang on a second, everybody. I got to find the right cable for this. You can look at it a little bit more. Then I got to get moving here. It's almost 5 o'clock. I'm sure I'm going to have hungry children in a few minutes, if not sooner. Now, I usually kept a cable around for this purpose. Because typically we're connecting to the HDMI. I can't remember how we typically connect these things. Here, let me use this cable. I just got to remember to put it back where I found it. Okay. All right, so I need to make sure that I put this cable back where I found it, because I always do this. All right, hang on one second here. Great, okay, here we go. And I'm trying to remember, what did we, oh yeah, we usually test this with like one of those USB-C docks. All right, so the projector is up. The phone is unlocking. I've got this cable that does everything. This is like one of those multi-mode USB-C deals here. Let's see. Paula says, hey, this thing started an hour ago. Yeah, this is why I always say at the beginning of the live streams, these are not recorded videos. These are experiments. What if you lost your phone? I don't care because this phone only does one thing. Okay, so we're going to plug this in here. And now it's charging. Let's see if it does the video output. That's not charging. I take that back. Okay, I'm plugging in again. Let's see. Yeah, this doesn't, looks like DeX is not working. Because this should output video, actually, through this cable. But it doesn't seem to want to do that. Let's see. I haven't used this in a while. Dolby Atmos, always on, night mode, secure folder. Usually it just comes right up. It'll say, do you want to go into DeX mode? And then it'll do its thing. Yeah, so that's not working. What's this? N. Yeah, it looks like that is not happening. Let's try it one more time. But this cable is like one of those cables that does everything. So that is not working. Let me plug my computer in. Let's see what happens when I do that. Well, it's not responding to the computer either, so maybe there's something wrong with this cable. Oops. Oh, there it goes. Yep, so the computer works. And you can't see this, but there's the Mac desktop there. So the computer did work when I plugged it in. So let's plug it in here again and see what happens. Yeah, so it doesn't seem to be working with DeX. But the computer did work. It just doesn't recognize it when I plug it in. But I'm guessing like my iPad would work. Try one more time here. Yeah, nada. Okay. Worth a shot. Let me put this cable back before I forget that I unplugged it from. This is the cable that I use whenever I get a laptop in and I'm testing USB ports. I plug it into this docking station I have over here. And if I don't put it back, it will disappear. Okay, there we go. And we'll turn off our phone for the next 6 months. And yeah, good stuff. Okay. What else you got? Oh, Jeffrey says I should switch to, all right, let's try that. You know, it was switching automatically before, but maybe we have to switch it manually. So let me try that. I will try that, and then I'm going to go for real this time. All right, so let me go grab that cable one more time. And I'll turn the phone back on. Yeah, because what I found before was that it was auto switching. So when I plugged the computer in, it switched to the USB port automatically. In fact, every time I plugged something into it, even when I was connecting power, it was doing that. Let's try this and see. But that Android box that's inside of it does boot up pretty quick. So I will give them that. All right, so let me get back into my phone here. By the way, to get DeX installed on this phone was like a nightmare. I had to like completely reinstall the firmware. And I forgot how this even got to me. But it had like some locked AT&T thing. All right, so let's go and plug in the cable now. Wait for it to boot back up again. And then we'll give this a shot here. Phone is starting. Okay, so we back up. I'm going to plug it in again. And what I'm going to do this time is see if switching to the HDMI or the USB-C input makes a difference here. Let me just refocus the display. There we go. I'm kind of going at an angle here, so it's a little bit off. Let's see, input. Okay, so it's on USB-C now. It's going to lock the phone one more time here. Okay, so let's plug this in again. So I'm on the USB-C input. Yeah, it just doesn't seem to be picking it up. So the phone doesn't work with it, but the computer did. So I think if you've got like a computer, it's going to come up. I'll try the iPad also and see if that works with it. So good stuff. All right. Well, I think we have covered the gamut of the things that I wanted to look at here. But yeah, there's a lot of use cases, I think, for this. And I think I like that it's got a nice little carrying case for it, too. So it's pretty good stuff. All right. Well, we have, I think, explored every inch of this thing. Let me just power it off real quick. And I'm going to have my review up next week. I still have to do a couple of things to test on this. Not much, but we will investigate that. And if you haven't seen this, this is the, it's kind of neat how that works. So yeah, so we're going to do some more with this in the next couple of days. David Parker says that some Galaxy phones, yeah, I'll double check that DeX thing. I've got a few other cables I can try, so we'll give that a shot and see. But usually what I do is I plug in one of those USB-C docking stations and then output the HDMI through that. And this cable I know is like does power, display, and data. It's like the trifecta cable. Not every cable does that, right? So there you go. All right. Shane says I got to go feed the kids. I do need to feed the kids. So I'm going to do that. And it's funny, I just got another surge of viewers on Amazon. So just to recap, this is the QV30. QV or GV? This is the BenQ GV30. And this works with its built-in Android stick. And then it also works with HDMI inputs, display port inputs via USB-C. We found that the USB-C port can charge the device. So you could use a big external battery to supplement the internal one. It runs about 2.5 hours on its internal battery. You got headphones out here. The speakers are nice on it. You don't get like subwoofer thumping bass, but it sounds clear and loud and not distorted even at high volume. It's got a Bluetooth speaker mode, so you can make it just a dumb Bluetooth speaker. And I'm guessing it probably turns the projector off for that. I'll have to double check that. Michael Kidd wants to know, does it work? So you can't just plug the Nintendo Switch directly in. You've got to go through a Switch dock, because Nintendo does something funky with their USB-C implementation. So you can't just plug it directly in without giving them more money. So there are like smaller docking stations that you can get. But I've always been nervous about those third-party docks on the Switch. So just be careful. The one that I got, that Brook one we looked at earlier, that one I'm comfortable with because it requires you to use the Nintendo adapter just to be safe. So that's how that works. And yeah, it's good stuff. Mike, thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you all for the questions and everything else. And if you are just tuning in on Amazon, where I just got a whole surge of new viewers in, you can rewind after I end the stream and see all the things that we tested on it. So we did YouTube, we did music, we did a Nintendo Switch game, and all of it seemed to work pretty good. Yeah, it does not. You know, this is a question, David Bound. It might have a microphone because it does have that Bluetooth speaker mode. So I'll have to check that too. That's the thing. They build the kitchen sink into these things. So I will look into that. So we got to look and see if it has a built-in mic. So I will check on that. All right. Well, that's it. So I think what I'll do, just to kind of wrap things up here, let's see how it goes back in the case. I don't need this plug because this is the European connector. But when you're done with it, you take the base off. So it's magnetic base, and it stays on, which is cool, but it comes right off. And then if you want, you can plug it into a tripod mount, so you can get it up higher if you need to. And it looks like you just put it in. How does it go in? I'm trying to get the feel for how it goes. I'm one of these people that can never spatially recognize. So I guess the flat part, if there is one, goes in there. There it goes. So that goes in there. You got your remote that goes in there, and then you've got a power supply on the other side of the room. But you got room in here because it's got some depth to it. So you could put the power supply in here, and you could easily fit a Roku if you wanted to include the Roku in the box. So you've got plenty of extra room in the case. And it's a hard shell kind of case. So it's pretty good. I think it's pretty neat. So yeah, we'll be having a full review of this later in the week. And that review you'll find on my YouTube channel, but also on Amazon. So be on the lookout for that. And I should do a jigsaw. Yeah, a friend of mine does that. You should look up my video that I did on OBS. My friend who does jigsaw puzzles, we went to visit him, and he's got an awesome jigsaw set up there. And so the microphone is, as far as I know, the microphone is built into the remote, because that's what these little dots are up here. So when you do a Google search, it's going through the remote, not through the unit. So there you go. But yeah, this could be the Swiss Army knife of projectors. It does seem to have that. So good stuff. And thank you, Jeffrey. I'm glad you enjoyed the stream. Yeah, this was fun. This is like what I love about live streaming is that we get. Oops, I just closed out my thing. We get a lot of great feedback in the middle of, as we're doing things, right? So it's really helpful for me, especially because as I'm trying to figure out like what do people want to see, we're able to do all that. Oh, that's right. So this base, let's see. I think this must fit in. Yes, the base fits in here, I think. Where's the base go underneath this? Let's see. I should have looked at how I took it out of the box. Oh, you know what? The remote goes in here. Well, that's pretty handy. And then you put this on top. The base, I'm guessing the base goes in here. Yes, the base goes there, and then it closes up. So this is where you got the power adapter. Let me get the power adapter, and it can show you like the process there. Where did the power adapter go? Here it is. And the power adapter will work overseas. So it's 100 to 240. So this will work in Japan and Europe and the United States. You can take it with you. So when you get the cables and everything else kind of jammed in there, you still have room. So you could probably fit, the Roku can easily fit in there. So if I take the Roku out here, here's the Roku. You could probably fit it and a Roku remote in there and take it with you. So totally do that. And then you are portable. So it's good. I think if you're a traveling business person doing a lot of presentations, it's probably not going to be bright enough because you do need a darker room. But in a darker environment, I think it will work pretty good. So yes, the question is Apple pre-orders. So I did order the iPhone 13 Pro. I have a 12 Pro right now. And the reason why I ordered the 13 Pro was twofold. One is that the new 13 Pro records with Apple ProRes, which is what I edit with. And so when I take B-roll shots, I can just move a file over that's the same as what I'm outputting from my system here. So that was a reason to consider that. I'm also getting, I think they're paying me, or I'm getting $640 on the trade-in of this phone. So I got to make sure I don't break it between now and when the other one shows up. So my out-of-pocket was like $400 or $500. So not bad for an upgrade on the phone. So I did order that. To review, I ordered the iPad mini and I ordered the new iPad because I usually do pretty well with the regular iPad reviews. So we're going to look at that. And yeah, so I basically ordered everything they had on the stream the other day. I got the 256 gigabyte one. I don't record, when I do clips with the iPhone, I don't record long duration clips. I just do a short one. So I figured I'll just go with the 256. And I got the smaller one because this is I like the smaller phone. So I always go with the regular Pro and not the Max. I really like the size of these. But I'll tell you what, like I had the 11, I have the 12 now, and I'm getting the 13. There's still not, like there's no use case for all the horsepower that they're putting into these phones. I'm just not using it like that way, you know? So it's, yeah, it's good though. I mean, we'll see how it does. I'll review all of it. So it'll give me something to do next week when everything comes in. But yeah, you can watch Jaws on the water in your boat. Yep, probably good for boating too. Just secure it because it's going to be moving around with the waves and stuff. But yeah, it's good for that too. Yeah, so you like the really small phone form factors. Yeah, here's what I want in a phone. I would love for the iPhone. So I would love an iPhone like this size with the M1 on it, and then when you dock it, it becomes a Mac. How cool would that be? I'd even settle for an iPad doing that. I think that would be pretty cool too. So, all right, so to recap, we're going to review this later next week, so be on the lookout for the review. But we got in the BenQ GV30, and it's cool. I'm actually pretty happy with it. You know, it's not the brightest thing in the world, but it sounds good. I think it will achieve what people might, I think the use cases that they're targeting have been targeted appropriately. So that's how that is looking. All right, well, I got to run, but thank you all for sticking around with me. We've been going for about 2 hours, almost, yeah, 2 hours and 12 minutes. So I've been earning my supper today. So I will be back again before you know it. And be on the lookout for the review of this coming up next week. I'm going to play around with it a little bit more this weekend, get all my data aligned, and we'll go from there. So thank you all for tuning in. And thanks everybody. And you're all, you know, like I said, I really appreciate all of you who give your time on these streams because it really helps me figure out what to do in the review. So thank you all very much, and I will catch you next time. Bye-bye.